Being homeless in Johannesburg can be grueling. But one man's life is showing that it doesn't have to be the end. When a young man called Gibson Nzimande lost his home and was forced to live here, he was confronted with every temptation the streets can offer. Crime, drugs, anything for a temporary fix. But by persisting in a way few are prepared to, Gibson transformed his life, one difficult day at a time. Imagine living, sleeping and waking up in the dirt and stench that is the Johannesburg CBD and still trying to make something out of your life. Well, one man had an unwavering determination not just to survive the streets, but also to achieve something that some would consider unattainable for someone in his situation. Gibson comes from sprawling Katlehong in the East Rand.
I grew up like in a family, so and then the only thing my grandmother used to tell me, Uguti, school is important, is the only tool to escape from poverty.
Home was never a happy place. He was studying at the University of Johannesburg when, without warning, his mother passed away, ripping apart his already tenuous existence.
My plan was to study political science or else history.
How would you say the passing of your mother changed the direction of your life?
That's when like a life, like I saw life, this is like life now. I have to like now pull up my socks and then I have to study hard so that like I hustled like a 1.5 for a registration. That's when I got a bursary from Eguruleni.
His bursary was just enough to kickstart a BA degree, but not nearly enough to afford rent. His best friend, then and now, Tumelo Ntoyi. Although they studied together for years, Gibson was too embarrassed to tell Tumelo his biggest secret.
Beginning of 2020, that's when I was officially at the street.
I never knew there to Gibson Nzimande up until I called from one of the guys I know from Eka. Said, man, your best friend was Stratin Skanjan.
How did that make you feel, Stratin?
I was so touched. I didn't understand what you can to Gibson because we as good the sea was sivuga ngaso sonke isikhathi so too. So yeah, namanga be manje sekabhekene nento so why angangitsheli.
Not willing to let it destroy him, Gibson made a trolley from scrap and joined thousands of waste pickers who collect and sell recyclables at the city's rubbish dumps.
The trolley, a bucket, and then my clothes, like maybe 2 trousers, and then the bucket I use having soap. If I slap, yabona nezintokubisa mama wrote on plus nama degree wami, so the proposal and then my diary, because each and every year from wherever from high school level I used to have a diary, so like jotted down like my stuff, yabona.
Waste picker by day, student by night, always on edge.
Remember, if you are living on the street, you are kind of like a nomad. There's no proper place for you. Police can come anytime and then they can evict you.
His luck only began turning when he carved out a home of sorts under a tree opposite a petrol station in Sandton. Johannes Lechanyane was the supervisor.
One thing that really attracted me to him, it was his humbleness. Every time I do Jimo on the corner, he will be reading something.
Nani, as Johannes, you could have very easily said, Amba, Suga, leave this place. We are more. You could have very easily have done that because people do that all the time, not knowing what that person's story is.
Maybe it was it was God that, Gibson ended up here. Why? Because the culture here is about people. We were in the business of helping people. We learned this from our bosses. They look after everyone.
All the while, Gibson's debt at UJ was escalating. But his history professor, Tembisa Wachin, took him under her wing.
I think Gibson's sort of life experience, the challenges he's faced, he's translated that into an advantage, an academic advantage in two ways. The first way is that it's given him some empathy for his research subjects. He is passionate about wanting to humanize the story of people who are often morally condemned or marginalized and who, maybe face hardships like himself. And the second way, I think that his instinct to survive has translated into a determination to succeed.
Gibson seldom earned more than 50 Rand a day. Do you know what I've realized is that you and I are very guilty of making sweeping judgments of waste pickers and people experiencing homelessness. But just because we see them living in such a tough situation, it doesn't mean that they have lost hope for their own lives.
I had a plan, like daily plan, whatever. Especially Wednesdays, Thursdays, I'll go to the library and then just do research. And then Fridays, with the money I'm earning from the scrap, I go to internet cafe trying to apply for jobs, searching stuff.
Finally, it all paid off when UJ scrapped his staggering debt 2 years ago and undertook to fund his master's degree. And he could even afford a room again. What do you think we can all learn from Gibson, do you think?
Wow. If you really believe in your dreams, go for it. And that's what I learned about the whole Gibson Nzimande thing. What a beautiful story.
There were moments when he felt like he might just drop out, and he was actually feeling like maybe it would be better to get back to the street.
Really?
I think that it's hard to understand when you haven't lived that life. Losing that life for whatever reason, or even if you might say it's not valuable, it's a certain kind of independence.
Gibson is a very resilient individual. Yeah, simbiza inja yesiganga. Inja yesiganga simply means umuntu obekezelayo olwayo even afacene nama challenges ajanjani.
Nsamwe Nkosi, Gibson Nzimande.
For me, like, I just told myself, no, I know, like, I'm in this situation, but if I can just do masters, then it'll be easy for me to do a PhD with a historian, yeah, like being Funaganjalo, so a social scientist. That's when I registered for a masters. Yeah.
Are you aware that people don't think like that?
The material things means nothing from my side, but knowledge is power. I rather die poor than knowledge of it.
At last, Gibson is able to stop juggling such vastly different worlds, Joburg's rough streets and his precious books, one step closer to becoming Dr. Nzimande.